to you and your families and our ancestors by that displacement on the flats and our community. And so we know that uh, there is no government agency or entity that's just going to give us the justice that we need and deserve for our neighborhood, that we're always going to have to demand, we're always going to have to push. And so we want to thank the people who have shared your stories and the stories of your families that we've used in the report that we've been able to amplify and lift up. We know that stories is really powerful, and we're going to continue to gather the stories. So if you want to share those with us, Julia will be talking about how we're going to be doing that as we move forward. And it's really important that we control the narrative of that story. Back in the 70s, there also, was a narrative that was, hey, this land is not safe. This land is uninhabitable. This land, is the people through the safest neighborhoods around. Everybody watched out for each other and nobody stole from each other. We know that there was a thriving neighborhood here, that there were businesses and churches and places to recreate. So it's really about like who tells that story and who has the power over that. So we want to make sure that we keep that front and center. Um, yeah, so I don't know, is there something I missed? Yeah, tonight's purpose is to share information about the application process of the Inheritance Fund. And we want to find out also um, who wants to engage with us further, because this is just one outcome. There are multiple um, recommendations slash demands that we would like to have for this neighborhood. And we'll get into that a little bit more, but we hope to find out if you're interested to be engaged and walk with us down that path. Uh, when we leave here today, we hope that everybody walking out of the door has a really clear understanding of what the application process is and what your eligibility requirements are, and that you're, super familiar with it so you can hit the ground running. And then also, if you have more questions, Julia will be available for that. And then we want to walk away with more information about families. We want to walk away with people who want to be engaged and involved as we move further down the pathway. Our process is this public presentation and discussion, but we're also going to have some things online, and we'll also be available to answer questions throughout the time that the application is open. So without any further delay, I'm going to turn over to Julia, who's going to give us all the details. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you. It's on my shirt here. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our last information session on the Inheritance Fund application process. So if you don't know me, my name is Julia. I am the communications coordinator here at WSCO, and I am also helping out now as the descendancy verifier for the Inheritance Fund. This presentation is going to be an information overload. This application process, there's a lot of qualifications and steps that you have to take. So you will have questions, and I'm just going to ask that you hold on to them until the end of the presentation. So please, if a question comes up, jot it down, and I will get to it at the end of the presentation. I just want to make sure that we get through everything before we start answering questions, because it might be answered later in the presentation. We also have some folks from the city here up here in the front, and they will be able to help out in that Q&A portion as well. You all should have received some folders when you came in, and I will be referencing to the materials that are in there a lot. So make sure that you just have it open and ready, because I'll tell you to pull this out and look at it. So yeah, great. So before we jump into the application process, I thought we should just talk about what the Inheritance Fund is. So the Inheritance Fund is a program created by the City of St. Paul as a cornerstone initiative of Mayor Melvin Carter. It was created to offer low to moderate income households, families who lost homes and generational wealth due to displacement by the city. And the Inheritance Fund gives them an opportunity to rebuild that wealth through home ownership. The program is administered by the Housing and Redevelopment Authority of St. Paul. So you might be wondering how WSCO plays into this since it's a city program. So WSCO has been contracted by the city of St. Paul to verify descendancy of applicants and support family through the application process. So as some of you may know, the Inheritance Fund first launched in 2023 for the Rondo descendants displaced by the construction of I-94. So this is the first year that it's being expanded to descendants of the West Side Flats. And what it does is it offers both of these groups a pathway to home ownership through down payment assistance. So down payment assistance, the program, um, it's a program that is for open to anyone within that fits within the eligibility requirements. But then the inheritance fund has like a specific pathway for descendants. So descendants of the West Side, descendants of a homeowner displaced from the West Side Flats can receive up to $110,000. However, there are several eligibility requirements that must be met in order to be awarded that particular amount, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But there's different layers of funding depending on what boxes you check off. Assistance is provided at a 15-year deferred loan at 0% interest. So what this means is monthly payments on the loan are not required. Each year, 1/15 of the loan is forgiven. So as long as you do not refinance or sell or move out of the house and you follow all of the program guidelines for 15 years, you will not owe a dime on the down payment that you were awarded through this program. In your folders, there is a packet. Looks like this. This is all of the program guidelines. This is very dense and there's a lot of technical language, but it is really important that you take the time to read through it thoroughly before you start the application process. I'm sure this presentation covers like most of the requirements you need to fulfill in order to do the application, but there's a couple more details that I just can't fit in here. So you want to make sure that you read through this. What you can come stop by at WSCO, we'll read through it together, or if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'll connect you with the right people to get your questions answered. Let's see. So now we're going to get into the details of who exactly qualifies for the inheritance fund, and there are 4 main requirements. Requirement number 1 is that you must be a descendant of a property owner whose property was acquired by the City of St. Paul and St. Paul Port Authority. So this means your grandparents, great-grandparents, or parents owned a home on the West Side Flats and was forced to sell. And the City of St. Paul has identified all properties within that orange area there to have been homes that were acquired by the West Side Flats. This is a closer look at that map. As you can see, it's a footprint of the area. There's not like super clear boundaries. Would you mind actually speaking a little bit as to why that is? Thank you.
Are you able to pick me up on the mic?
Oh yeah, actually that's a great idea. Thank you.
So I'm in the Department of Planning and Economic Development. I do the research with historic preservation. And so on the map, you see that it's kind of bouncy outlines to be best. We haven't very intentionally put in boundaries all the way around it because there is the possibility that we're missing some information or things aren't clear in there. We don't want to exclude anybody that's on the edge of that. So it's the matter as we get the information and Julia has the applications, if something doesn't match up, we're not saying no, we're looking deeper into it. So This is just giving us the general boundaries for what became the Riverview Industrial Park area that the Port Authority acquired properties at. So I can explain more later if people have more questions.
So the second requirement is that you must earn at or below 100% area median income. So this chart is available in your packets here. So you can take a closer look at where you might fall on this. Um, if your yearly income is 80% AMI or less, you may be eligible for more funding through the down payment assistance program. But to fit within the inheritance fund requirements, you do have to be at 100% or less. You can't make more than that, essentially. And there's also on the back of this chart here, there's a link to, sorry, this is the wrong sheet of paper. There's information on how household income is calculated if you have multiple family members living with you. So the guidelines dictate that all adult household members' income must be included in the income calculation here. So if you're living with your mother and your adult son, you have to include those incomes in this calculation. So that can be pretty restrictive depending on how much everyone makes yearly. So requirement number 3, you must pre-qualify for a mortgage, and this step has to be completed before you even start the application process. That interest form, you are going, that's available on the city, saying that you're pre-qualified for mortgage. You can't move any further in the application process until you've completed this step. So this is really important to get done. And the last requirement is that you are required to complete a home buyer counseling certification course approved by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So in your packets, there's a chart that looks like this. These are all of the approved home buyer classes that you can take in the city of St. Paul this summer. If you turn it over, there is a link to more classes, and there's classes across the state. So if the ones in St. Paul don't work for you, there might be some in Minneapolis or in other cities for you to take this summer. This is really important that you get this done sooner rather than later. Technically, you don't have to get it done until you could wait till the very last minute and just do it right before you close your home. But we don't recommend that, because once you are approved by the city to have you get like down payment assistance, they only hold onto those funds for 90 days, which means you only have 90 days to find a home and close on a home. So the sooner you can get this done, the better. There's also an online course that you can take that's approved by the city, but it does cost $75. Most of these here are free. The ones that are not, you can request a fee waiver. But if you did want to do the online option, that is available. It's just for a cost of $75. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, descendants of West Side Flats homeowners can earn up to $110,000 in down payment assistance, but the actual amount you're awarded depends on what eligibility boxes you check off. So if you go into your packets, there's a sheet titled Down Payment Assistance Funding Layers. Looks like this. So if you check off all the boxes in each of these rows, that means that you're eligible for that row of funding. So for that top row, the green one, where it says I make 80% AMI or less, that is the regular down payment assistance program. The second box where it says I make 80% AMI or less, and my parents have never owned a home or they lost a home due to foreclosure, that's called the first generation down payment assistance. These are the two layers that you can be awarded if you are not a direct descendant of a homeowner. So anyone can apply for these two. The only thing with these two layers is they're much more competitive, and the income requirements are a little bit more restrictive. So with this one, you have to make 80% AMI or less for everyone in your household. And also there is an asset limit, which is in the it's in the full program guidelines, but I believe you cannot have more than $25,000 in assets. And the what exactly qualifies as an asset is listed in the program guidelines. These two layers are for folks who are descendants of a homeowner. So the income levels are a little bit more flexible. If you make a little bit more money, you're still able to apply for these two. You might not qualify for this one, but you will for these two. This last one, the community wealth, means that you can get an extra $10,000 if you plan to buy a home within the West Side. So pretty much from Annapolis all the way down to the river is fair game, and you can get that extra $10,000 towards your down payment assistance if you plan to do that. You're good. Okay. So, application process. I created a step-by-step guide here. Looks like this. So if everyone could pull that out, we're just gonna quickly go through it. So the first step you're gonna do is prepare for the program. So like I said, you're gonna read through those guidelines that the city has provided and make sure that you are eligible. Then you're going to complete an interest form. So you'll go to the city's website. You'll attach your pre-approval from your bank onto that interest form. Once you've submitted that, the city will get in touch with you and they will send you they'll send you an application packet. One of the things that they're going to send you is a descendancy verification form, which as soon as you get that, you're going to want to fill that out and send it to me. I put my email on here. You can also, my phone number is available on my business card that I put in there. You can give me a call. You can come drop it off, or if you're nearby, I'll come pick it up. We'll figure it out, make sure that I get that, because the sooner you can get that in, the better. We can get the application process going. Then under here, there is a list of different documents that you're going to need to supply the city so that they can make sure that you're eligible. So that's going to be your federal income tax returns, and you're going to need 3 months of your pay stubs for yourself and all of your household members over the age of 18. Financials, 3 months of financial statements for everyone in your household. Any current award letters or income statements. So if you are receiving Social Security or your retirement, child support, all of that needs to be documented. And then if you have any students above the age of 18 that are full-time in school, you need to prove that they are enrolled in classes. That's a lot of things together. So WSCO and the city will be more than happy to assist you in getting all of that paperwork together. After you've gotten that all together, you've submitted it to the city. They're going to review your descendancy verification, and if they find that everything is eligible and you're accepted into the program, you will receive a letter that confirms your down payment assistance funds will be reserved for 90 days. And from that point on, the countdown starts. You want to start looking for a home. So you're going to start looking for it can be a house, condo, duplex, co-op unit, or townhouse. And it has to be within the city limits of St. Paul. Wherever you choose to buy has to be within the city of St. Paul. It doesn't have to be the west side, but you do get that extra 10 grand if you do choose the west side. Um, Once you have a purchase agreement, you're going to let the city know. Then the city will kind of take everything from there. They'll send some documents to the lender and then the title company. And then on the day of closing, the city will wire the title company the down payment assistance funds. Um, so that's a lot. The first 5 steps you can take just to get started on this process is going to be thoroughly review the program guidelines to make sure you're eligible, which this is really important because like this application process, it's an obstacle course. It's a lot of work to get the assistance. And if you get halfway through it and then we find out that, oh, nope, you're not eligible, it's just going to be really disappointing. And I don't want anyone to have to go through that. So really make sure that you take the time to read through everything, check with us to make sure that it's worth your time. Then you're going to get pre-qualified for a mortgage loan. If you've gone through the program guidelines and you're like, yep, you know what, I think I'm a good fit for this, you're going to go to your bank, get pre-approved for a mortgage. You're gonna get a letter from the bank saying that you're approved, and then you're going to complete an interest form, attach that letter to that interest form. And then you're going to want to start looking for a home buyer course just to get that done and over with. Register, sign up for it so you're ready to go on that requirement. And then finally, you're going to begin gathering all of those documents that I had listed under step 3 on here. You can just start figuring out some of that, pulling it together. But these are the first 4 are definitely going to be the things that will set you up for success with this application process. Step 5, like WSCO and the city can help you kind of pull all that together. Okay. So we're almost at the end here. Before I wrap up, I just wanted to share with you guys how the descendancy verification process works. So this is what my role kind of is alongside the city. So if we go back and look at that first step, if you go back on the step-by-step guide and go to number 3, it says a descendancy verification form. So you're gonna fill out that form and you can email it to me, or you can mail it to WSCO here, or you can text me and I'll come pick it up from you, or you can come find me and drop it off. And that form is going to ask whether you are a direct descendant of a child, which means you are a child or grandchild of someone who owned a home. It's going to ask you for the first and last name of your displaced family member, if you remember. It's going to ask whether your family member owned property on the West Side Flats, if you know. And there will be a section to provide any additional helpful information. So that part is definitely important. Anything you can provide, like in terms, if it's a birth certificate, whatever you think might be helpful to us, it wouldn't hurt to send it our way. We'll take anything we can get. Another thing is that there is no limit on the number of applications per family. So that means if great grandpa was a homeowner, that means that all of his children can apply, all of his grandchildren can apply. There's no limit within the family. So that is important to know. So the descendancy verification process can be broken down into 3 steps. So the first step is just going to be an initial search. So the city has created a database with all of the displaced homeowners within the area that they've identified. And they've created that list using appraisal sheets, HRA records, Port Authority documents, and data from the Research and Action report that came out last year. So I will go through that database, try and find your family member's name. If I find it, that's pretty much just like where it'll help get things going real quickly. If I don't find them, then I'll do some follow-up. I'll reach out to you, try and get some more information. I might ask If you don't remember the exact address, if you remember the general area where the house might have been, like a street name, or maybe your grandpa said it was right by like the old Our Lady of Guadalupe, things like that can help. We'll ask for other family members' names. So, like, if you gave us your grandmother's name, we'll be like, what was your great aunt's name? Or what was your, like, just more family members might be able to help us trace things down. And then sometimes if they were in the military or they have other government affiliations, it can help us find their address. We'll also use ancestry.com to look through old census records and old phone books. One thing that is important to know though is the oldest census is, or the most recent census is 1950. So anything after that or before that is not available. Mm,
Anything after 1950 was a 70-year cutoff date.
okay, thank you. Um, And what we're doing when we're going through all of that is we're looking for documented connections to property in the flats and your family member. So we're just trying to find their name on a deed or on some sort of record that says they owned a property within the area. And if we're still not finding anything, if I'm not finding anything after that, because that will be me going through all of that, then I will reach out to the folks at the city. They have a historic preservation specialist, and they're going to conduct a deep dive. They have access to more records, and yeah, they'll do the due diligence of really making sure that we can confirm what yes or no whether your family member was a homeowner. Once descendancy is confirmed, I will notify the city staff. I'll provide a summary of findings of what I found that proves that you're a descendant of a homeowner. The city will begin an underwriting process, and then they will send you an affidavit to be signed and notarized, and then you just keep moving down the application process. If I find that you are not a direct descendant of a homeowner, I'll still reach out to the city staff. They'll review it, make sure that that confirm that you are not a descendant, but they will still reach out to you because you may be eligible for the regular down payment assistance. So that's the program where you don't have to be a direct descendant, but you do have to make 80% AMI or less. So some people may not qualify, but there might be a few of you who do. So before we get into questions here, I just want to talk to you all about next steps. So WSCO recognizes that there are a lot of challenges to the current inheritance fund process as it is today, and we are committed to staying engaged with the city to improve the process in further years. If you pull out this yellow sheet in your folders titled Count Me In, you can sign up for different ways to get involved with the West Side Flats movement, or the Flats of the Future movement, I guess you can say. We're advocating for remedies that acknowledge and address the displacement of renters who, as we all know, were deeply impacted, but they're excluded from this process. We've already begun a dialogue with Council Member Naker. We want to make sure that there are economic repairs done for that group of people. We want to make sure that we hold the Port Authority accountable to all of this. They played a major role in the original displacement, and they significantly benefited economically from that displacement. And we believe that they have a responsibility to contribute to the economic, environmental, and community repair for the harm caused. We want to make sure that we're preserving these stories about the West Side Flats. Like before our elders are gone, we want to make sure that these stories are recorded for future generations. So if you're open to it, you can check off a box that says, I want to share my story privately, or I want to share it. I'm okay with being recorded. There's also an opportunity to get involved with some memorialization. So we want to create a memorial plaza that honors the West Side Flats. So if this application process doesn't it's not seeming like a good fit for you, please 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 sign up. There are other ways to get involved. There may be if you get involved, there may be future opportunities to to receive economic repair. So, uh with that, oh, also one more thing. We are having, if you are interested in getting further involved, there is going to be a meeting in August. Um, please hold on to this. There will be more information coming, but just want to make sure everyone knows about this. So, with that, we're going to go ahead and open to questions if anyone has any. Um, I'm also available here Mondays and Thursdays to help you with your application process, or if you have any questions, just send me a text and or just stop by and I'll be here. So yeah, with that, I'm if anyone has any questions, comments back there. hmm So the question for people who are on the live stream was, how do we access the verification form? What do we do with it? So the you will receive the descendancy verification form after you've completed the what is it called? I'm blanking. The interest form. Thank you. So the interest form is online. You're going to complete that one, and then the city will send you the form for you to fill out and get to me. hmm Yep. So the question was a. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So to rephrase. Mhm. Yeah. 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 Mhm. So wherever you currently live is fine. You can live anywhere in the state currently, but the home you purchase has to be within City of St. Paul. Yeah. Yeah. And then I also want to rephrase for anyone on the video. She had asked why the pre-approval comes before the descendancy verification. Um, I don't have an answer for why the process is the way that it is. Do you guys want to respond to that at all? Sure.
Sorry. My name is Chris. I work for the City of St. Paul's down payment assistance programs. I work on the citywide down payment assistance as well as the inheritance fund. So we ask for the mortgage pre-approval first because when we were doing it the other way, we were getting sometimes hundreds, maybe even thousands of applications, and we couldn't get to all of them. So we are now doing it this way because we want to make sure that the people who are coming to us are ready to buy a home when they get to us.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions. One, is there a reason why the database for descendants isn't able to be accessed by everybody? And then that's my first one.
Mhm.
Wait for the answer on that one.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi. So right now, the data that we've put together comes from a lot of the public records. Most of that information is actually available online, but in multiple places. So we're trying to combine it all into one easy place to have somebody access. So while it's not online, it is available here. Um, that's kind of how we worked with the Rondo one too. It was available through Rondo Community Land Trust. Not all of it is online in one place, not necessarily for any specific reason, but um, that isn't a question that we've been asked before.
So
So,
I'm asking that because that would help with her.
Mhm.
Because if you have it easily accessible
Mhm.
to the community,
Yeah.
they could then look on there and say, this is my
Mhm.
discount, and then I don't have to go through all of the hoops to get to the point of just turning in. I don't have
Yeah.
that concern. I know
Yeah.
where mine comes from, but that's a legit concern.
No, I appreciate the question and the idea, and maybe, Julia, this is something that we can talk about. Maybe there's the ability to kind of do like a pre-application question to talk, but this is a good idea, and I'd like to talk further about it.
Got another question. I know you talked about the website class. There's certain because the thing is, what in my situation, I had my parent and grandparents on the West Side Flats. I don't know if they rented or not, so that would disqualify me right away. But when it has to do with the Riverview industrial area, that's where I was affected because it went up to into the 50s, 60s when they bought our property to was the city of St. Paul, and they came and bought our house. And there, my parents were homeowners on Congress Street. We were across the street from the flats, but we were affected too because of all the land that the Port Authority and the city bought. And then once they got the levy okay and ready for the production that they got down there, then they just had our little street here by Neo's and stuff, and we were gone already. So I want to know if that what when you keep saying West Side Flats because we weren't on the West Side, but we were affected because of the West Side.
Mhm.
So is that something that again it's something do I want to push forward or are you going to say no? It has to be in the flats only in the 60s because then
There's yeah, so there's definitely room the city has not defined like clear cut boundaries right now because there is a lot of uncertainty of who exactly was displaced. We have a general area. If you don't fit within that general area, it doesn't hurt to reach out to us and we can look further into your specific case. It sounds like there is some room to deep dive into people's like everyone's situation is so different in this. Like everyone's is unique. So we want to make sure that we touch base with you and see if your situation might be one of those unique uh situations where it's not quite what's on the map, but it still fits within the guidelines of a displaced homeowner by the Port Authority or St. Paul.
it know that
Yeah.
it was done that way
Okay.
with us, but and then
Yeah, let's
okay,
connect
that's what I
and
needed to know. Good information. Okay.
yeah, here.
That's why the map was drawn the way that it is. We know that we don't have complete information for some of that because people were affected by different agencies along different lines there. We do have the documentation for the appraisals for what the Port Authority came to get. We have some records from the HRA, but you are not the first person to ask that question too. So just know that you're not alone in asking that, and talk to Julia. You can come see me afterwards too, and I can let you know kind of more details about what we have there. But do not feel discouraged by that at all.
Only because you know the address we have is gone. You can't find it anymore. It's now the records are gone of my address. But I just know it was there's a big double lot house there now.
Yeah.
I know it was a 2 lot. Okay, I will talk to you.
Thank you. Yep.
You go ahead first and then I'll ask
Oh, sorry.
Me? Or me? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I just want to know, is there, how long is this program going to be in place? Is there a time limit? Because I only have 90 days to find a house to
Mhm.
put into panic mode.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering if there's like, is this going to close out in 2025 or sooner or later, or how does this work?
So the program is first come, first serve. So once the funding runs out, it runs out. So
Oh,
there's no definite end to the program. Even when the funding does run out, it'll close temporarily, and then once more funds become available, it'll reopen. Um, but it's a people have high interest in it. So the thing with this program is once it's opened, you kind of have to be ready to buy a home. Like
Okay.
you have to be ready to apply, go through the process, ready to go when those 90 days hit. So I totally
Well, what I'm looking at is
get
like the
your,
interest rates and stuff, and granted, that's, if, assuming you qualify
Mhm.
for a chunk of this or more, it's a really good deal, but then you
Mhm.
still got this high interest loan of 100 or 200 or however many $1,000 that you've got to deal with. And then if that's the case and you jump in and you've got this high interest loan,
Mhm.
can you not then refinance it if interest rates go down?
I'll let them.
Well, it actually gives me a good chance to make a clarification. So that 90 days is not, you don't have to close on a house. You just have to have a purchase agreement in place within those 90 days. Okay.
So
Sure.
when you do that, aren't you
Mhm.
then locked into an interest rate at whatever you've locked? I mean,
Yes. Yes. So I just wanted to make the clarification about the 90 days is it first, and then I will address the interest rate. So yes, you don't have to have closed. You just have to have a purchase agreement. Okay. So if your purchase agreement has you closing in, 110 days, that's okay as long as you have that before the 90 days. In terms of the interest rate, this program does allow you to refinance for a lower interest rate or a shorter mortgage term. Okay. You do have to let us know, but that is allowed. It's called a rate term refinance. We do allow those. Okay. The other thing I want to point out on the 90 days is for inheritance fund recipients, we can offer one extension if you're trying to buy within the West Side or within Rondo. So you may have the opportunity to get an extension if you are an inheritance fund user. Up to 90 more days
to find out.
to find a home.
Okay.
Okay. But that's a one-time
Okay.
thing.
So,
Yes.
So with that being said, that it's for the inheritance fund is for Rondo and for West Side Flat. Is there a limit on the inheritance fund? Like, is there a max that you're going to be giving out as a city for the inheritance?
Not specifically defined at this point. So we have multiple funding sources we're using, and we're also always looking for more because we want to keep it going as long as we can.
But we are then competing with the other out of town.
It's not specific. We're trying to keep it even between the two. Is the best I can say.
And then last question.
Mhm.
Well, for right now.
Yes.
As far as the income is, if we have children that are living with us currently that are adults that are going to apply for this inheritance fund, do they have to at that point count the adults in the home income if they're not going to be moving with them?
No, it's who's going to be in the house when they move into it. So if you have an adult child who's buying by themselves, then it would only be their income, even if they live with you now. If you're not going to live with them in the house they're buying, it's only their income that we count.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
So my question is, two of my sisters already have homes for my mom and dad, and my grandma. We took care of both grandmas. So we were on Fairfield with my grandma's grocery store, and my dad had a business in the back, tool and die. So they were pushed out with, in fact, there's a lady in here I talked to, and she was a little girl at my grandma's grocery store. So anyway, so they ended up moving on Dale Street. So my one sister has that house, and my other sister has the other house on Taylor that my other grandma had. She wasn't a West Sider, but we grew partly up in that house too. So two of my sisters, we all lived on Fairfield, and so they don't need to buy a home, but they do need to, I think I told you they need to improve their home that they're in that my mom and dad had. So is that part of that inheritance improvement thing instead of the mortgage thing?
Yes, so there is a program that's called the home rehab program. I don't remember the exact name, but that is a program that is a part of an inheritance fund, but it's closed indefinitely by the city of St. Paul. So we don't have a clear answer for when that will be available again. But if it does, I would assume West Side Flats would be a part of it, and that would be something that you could do.
So this is more for buying a home.
This is for down payment assistance. Yes.
Okay.
hmm
Is there like a list you can get on to be emailed if that becomes available again? The rehab?
There is, yes. If you go to the website, the city website, and I can pull up a QR code in a bit. Um, there should be like an email wait list or something like that. Am I saying that correctly?
There's a link that you can sign up for updates on the homeowner rehab page. Then whenever there are updates to the program, we send out an email to everybody on that list.
And sorry, is that it?
Could you repeat what you said?
Oh, yes. There is a link on the top of the page for homeowner rehab program where if you want to be emailed updates, anytime we make an update, we send it out to everybody on that list. So you can add yourself to that list.
Is this a separate thing from the heritage, or is this all one?
It's separate.
It's separate?
Mhm.
Okay.
Anyone on this side have any questions? No? Go ahead.
So with previous St. Paul programs like this, some of the mortgages or people that worked with the mortgages didn't work with that loan type or that program. And you had to have a specific person that was approved to be certified to do that. Is that the case for this?
As in a specific lender or?
It was like a mortgage person. When I purchased my home on the west side, I used the Heroes Fund at that time, and that required the mortgage lender that I was working with to be certified with that group.
Yes, that is not the case here. We will work with any lender that wants to.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just have one more.
Go ahead.
So, as far as descendancy goes, if you have a really ambitious great grandkid or great great grandkid, would she qualify?
Yeah, as long as you're a grandchild, it doesn't matter how great you are. It just has to be you have your parent, child, or grandchild.
Okay.
I should also note that legal adoptions
Yes.
also are also allowed. So
Okay.
adopted children can apply.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
So a 20-year-old grandchild of mine, which would be a great grandchild of my mom and dad,
Yep.
would be able to qualify for those.
Yes. So that was another thing I wanted to say is please let your children and your grandchildren know because this does apply to them as well if you are a direct descendant. Mhm. No, it doesn't matter. You might not qualify for a funding layer like the first generation layer where your parents never owned a home. Like your kids probably won't qualify for that, but they could still get funding through it. Yes. Okay. Are we feeling good about questions? Anything else? Okay, well, with that, we are going to close out. If you have any questions specific to your situation, please feel free to come up to me or anyone sitting over here. Sorry, I didn't introduce you guys. I should have done that. I'm so sorry. If you guys want to say your names quick.
I'm Chris, and yes, I do the down payment assistance program.
I'm Christine, Historic Preservation Specialist for the city.
I'm Maria, help with research and mapping with the city.
All right, well, thank you all so much for coming. Please feel free to reach out to me or come chat with us up here, get a business card. Thank you all so much. Yeah.